There is a compound that your kidneys naturally produce when you are young and healthy. It keeps your blood slightly alkaline, neutralizes acids that destroy tissue, and protects your muscles from a silent process of degradation. The problem is that after the age of 60, the body starts producing less and less of this compound, and the aging you blame on getting old may actually be the direct reflection of that decline. This compound is called bicarbonate, and your body has been crying out for help for decades. You just didn't know it. Most people don't know that the human body spends its entire life fighting to keep the blood within a very narrow acid-alkaline balance range. That range sits between 7.35 and 7.45 on the pH scale. If the blood moves outside that window for more than a few hours, organs begin to fail. This balancing system is so critical to survival that the body will sacrifice any other tissue to maintain it. And that is where a process nobody tells you about begins. When the body becomes too acidic because of modern diet, physical inactivity, chronic stress, and kidney function that naturally declines with age, the body needs to find bicarbonate somewhere to neutralize that excess acid. And it finds it in your bones, in your muscles. Calcium is extracted from the bones as an alkaline buffer. Muscle proteins are broken down to release amino acids that help control pH. What we call osteoporosis and sarcopenia, loss of bone and muscle mass, has, according to researchers at the University of California and the University of Lausanne in Switzerland, a direct connection to this state of chronic low-grade metabolic acidosis. It is not just calcium that is missing. It is the balance that is broken. Before we continue, tell me in the comments, which state or city are you watching this video from right now? I want to know where this community that truly takes care of their health is coming from. Write it down below. There is a phenomenon called chronic low-grade metabolic acidosis. It does not show up in routine lab work because conventional blood pH tests only detect extreme cases. But this state of persistent mild acidity, which affects the majority of adults over 50, has a profound impact on body composition, kidney function, and sleep quality. A study published in the Journal of Clinical Endocrinology and Metabolism demonstrated that potassium bicarbonate supplementation in older adults reduced the loss of muscle nitrogen and urinary calcium, two direct markers of tissue degradation. Another study from McMaster University in Canada showed that in elderly individuals performing resistance exercise, bicarbonate supplementation increased performance and reduced muscle breakdown during exertion. What does this mean in practice? That the body of an older adult who struggles with leg weakness, rapid fatigue, and difficulty building or maintaining muscle mass may not simply be aging. It may be fighting against an internal biochemical environment that works against muscle recovery all the time. And sodium bicarbonate, when used with proper guidance, can help create a more favorable internal environment for muscles to remain functional for much longer. The kidneys are the primary organs responsible for excreting acid from the body. With aging, the glomerular filtration rate naturally decreases. This means the body accumulates acid more easily and has less capacity to eliminate it. This decline in kidney function begins around age 40 and accelerates after 60. What few professionals openly discuss is that this drop in kidney function can be accelerated by that very same acidic environment. In other words, acidity worsens the kidneys, and weaker kidneys generate more acidity, a cycle that silently feeds itself over the years. Researchers at the Royal London University published a study demonstrating that patients with chronic kidney disease who received daily sodium bicarbonate supplementation showed a significantly slower progression of the disease compared to the control group. The progression toward kidney failure was up to 3 times slower in the group that used bicarbonate. That finding is remarkable, and yet this intervention is not widely discussed. Tell me in the comments, had you ever heard about the connection between bicarbonate and kidney health? Write yes or no down below. I want to understand how unknown this topic still is for the people who follow this channel. There is a connection between acid-alkaline balance and gut health that rarely enters the conversation. The small intestine operates in a slightly alkaline environment. The pancreas naturally releases bicarbonate to neutralize the acid coming from the stomach before the contents reach the intestine. When the system is overloaded, this mechanism becomes compromised. In older adults, exocrine pancreatic function also declines with age. The production of pancreatic bicarbonate decreases. The result can be compromised digestion, an intestinal environment more acidic than ideal, and an unbalanced microbiome, because many beneficial bacteria thrive in a slightly alkaline environment. What seems like simple digestive discomfort may, in part, be a reflection of an overloaded acid-base buffering system. One of the most studied processes in aging is what is called inflammaging, a chronic low-grade inflammation that accompanies cellular aging. The acidic environment inside cells stimulates inflammatory pathways. The more acidic the intracellular environment, the more active certain pro-inflammatory proteins become. Researchers at the University of Georgia published data showing that sodium bicarbonate activates macrophages, immune system cells, in a way that reduces aggressive inflammatory responses, stimulating what they call an anti-inflammatory response through the spleen. This mechanism was unknown until not long ago. Bicarbonate does not just neutralize acid. It appears to signal to the immune system that this is not a moment for war. It is a moment for repair. This has enormous implications for conditions like arthritis, joint stiffness, and chronic pain in older adults. We are not talking about miracles. We are talking about biochemistry that is beginning to be understood at a much deeper level. There is a misconception here that needs to be addressed directly. Many people with high blood pressure hear the word sodium and immediately dismiss sodium bicarbonate. But the relationship between sodium and blood pressure is far more complex than common sense suggests. First, sodium bicarbonate does contain sodium, yes, but the functional dose for health benefits, around half a gram to 1 gram per day, is extremely low compared to the sodium present in a typical meal. Second, there are studies showing that blood alkalinization can, in certain metabolic profiles, reduce vascular resistance and contribute to more balanced blood pressure. Third, people with hypertension should consult a doctor before any supplementation. That is non-negotiable. But generic fear of sodium should not prevent healthy older adults from accessing this information. If you are enjoying this content and want me to keep bringing information like this, that goes beyond the basics. Write your city name in the comments. I want to see where this community that truly digs deep into health is watching from. There is a biologically underexplored window, the nighttime period. During sleep, the body carries out much of the cellular repair process. But this repair depends on an adequate biochemical environment. When there is chronic low-grade acidosis, fragmented sleep and non-restorative rest may be consequences, not causes, of an unbalanced internal environment. Some researchers studying sleep biology suggest that mild alkalinization before bed may support deep sleep efficiency, the period in which growth hormone is secreted, even in older adults in smaller amounts, and where muscular and cellular repair happens with the greatest intensity. There is not yet a solid scientific consensus on this, but the biological mechanisms connecting pH, mitochondrial function, and sleep quality are the subject of growing research. Sodium bicarbonate is not a medication, it is not a solution for every condition, and its indiscriminate use can, in fact, cause problems. High doses can interfere with the absorption of certain medications, disrupt electrolyte balance in people with severe kidney conditions, and create alkalosis, the opposite excess, where the blood becomes too alkaline. Conscious use involves small doses, generally between 300 and 600 milligrams per day, which corresponds to about a quarter of a teaspoon, dissolved in water, preferably at times away from main meals so as not to interfere with the stomach's acid digestion, and always with the guidance of a healthcare professional, especially for those already using medications for blood pressure, diabetes, or kidney function. The difference between intelligent use and reckless use is knowledge, and that is exactly what this channel exists to provide. Based on the available evidence, the profiles that stand to gain the most from evaluating acid-base balance and from possible supervised supplementation are older adults with a diet predominantly made up of meat and processed foods, which generate more acid load in the metabolism, older adults with documented reduced kidney function, people with sarcopenia or a history of frequent falls related to muscle weakness, and individuals with chronic joint pain and elevated inflammatory markers. For these profiles, simply adopting a diet richer in vegetables, which are naturally alkalizing, already represents a significant change. Bicarbonate, in this context, can be an additional support while deeper dietary changes are being built. Aging is not just a matter of time, it is a matter of environment. The internal environment of your body, the pH of your cells, the balance between acid and base in your blood, the capacity of your tissues to repair themselves, can be influenced by choices you make every single day. Sodium bicarbonate will not give you back decades, but understanding the role of acid-base balance in aging can completely change the way you interpret what is happening inside your body. The weakness, the fatigue, the pain you attributed simply to age may have a biochemical explanation and a possible intervention. You deserve access to this information, and this channel exists for that. Write here in the comments, which city are you from? And tell me as well whether you currently use or have ever used sodium bicarbonate for any health-related purpose. Your experience may help other people watching this video right now.